Hello and welcome to this video. I just wanted to very briefly talk about this particular section, which is going to be NLP and psychotherapy. Now, if you don't know what NLP is, it stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Psychotherapy is obviously the overall generic term for anything to do with psychology in a therapy scenario. So, in a nutshell, what is it, and what is it that I can do to help you? Well, first of all, I prefer for potential clients to actually see me first and go through a very simple process of, getting to know each other, basically, because there's no point in working with someone like myself if we don't gel, if there isn't any congruity there, then it's not going to work for you. The other thing that I always recommend for clients is to be very open about anything that comes their way through each of the sessions, to be receptive to any messages, any realizations that you come to, that come to you while we're going through a particular session. I personally don't like to work to a rigid formula with anything because everybody is different. Every client that I've had and I help with NLP or NLP psychotherapy is different. What works for one person may not necessarily work for someone else. And that is part of the process of going through the whole, psychotherapy events, as it were, these sessions, is to try and explore what works for you. Now, again, things can happen quite rapidly and things can take a long time, depending on what it is you want to actually try and achieve. At the end of the day, I'm a facilitator to help you change whatever it is you want to change. So that's how I like to work. The sessions I prefer in a home environment are usually best, in a quiet area, either actually in here in our home, in our front room, or at a location that you choose. But best, obviously, not to have any interruptions, so that you can get full benefit of what it is you want to work through at the end of the day. I also like to think that it's very much a two-way thing. It's a communication. I can't help you or facilitate you or explore what it is you want to try and change if you don't communicate anything back to me. So it's very much a partnership psychotherapy, I believe. That's the way I like to work. You may have come across people who like to work in a different way, and that's purely down to them. If you work with somebody who likes to give you instructions and tells you what you are or are not doing correct in their point of view, then that whatever works for you. That's what I always say. Whatever works for you is what is most important. And it's the same with pretty much everything on this website, and all the services that I try to do and provide for people is to try and help and work with each individual, unless it happens to be a group session, which is obviously very general. But it's about you and what you want to get out of it. I always remember my own psychotherapist, actually, quite a number of years ago now. I was going through a difficult period in my own life. I needed help. I felt like that. Everything around was just being. I felt like I was in a walled room that was so claustrophobic. I felt like I just didn't have any options. And going through with my psychotherapist at the time, and sadly she's passed away since, but going through that with all my psychotherapists, the first thing she always used to say to me, what do you want to get out of this session? And that's exactly how I like to work. And as soon as she said that on the very first time, I thought, wow, that's pretty neat. That I've been in psychotherapy and such like with other people, and they didn't work that way. That's what worked for me. So, and sometimes I just hit a blank and I just said, I don't know. And then she would take me through, exploring, and then it would come up, things would always come up. So that's what I welcome you to do when you ever, if you ever consider having a therapy session with myself. That, I hope, has given you a brief overview of how I like to work and work with you. This can be done face-to-face is best. It can be done via Skype. It can be done via telephone. I've done all of those. It works pretty much equally well, but I think works best when it's face-to-face. It depends on the level that we're trying to. I'm trying to sort of help you work through. If it's obviously something pretty major and deep-seated, then that would require face-to-face. But I've helped people over the phone. It can help. It all helps. And so I hope that's been enlightening, a bit of an insight on how I like to work and work with you. And thanks very much for watching. Cut.